And welcome back to Music Free Static. I hope you're having a fabulous day. And I wanted to talk about movies, right? I was talking about last week about how I've had this urge to watch old movies and stuff, movies from my childhood, all this nostalgia bait, right? Is it bait if it's actually nostalgia? Anyway, one of the movies that I really have been wanting to go back and watch was the 1990 live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, I loved the Ninja Turtles cartoon when I was a kid. I watched this 1990 live action movie all the time, right? I loved it, and one of the things I really liked about it was actually something that I liked about the 1989, I think, Batman, was that it took the concept seriously, right? It wasn't some spoof, it wasn't some parody. And yes, there's lots of humor and some of it is a little cheesy and stuff, but overall the story was serious. It's a serious story about coming of age and of acceptance, but it doesn't forget that the turtles are in fact fun-loving teens and they're a family, and that it is in fact a movie for 12-year-olds, right? But it's one of those things that I really love about how they approach it, right? And I've always said I watched the heck out of the Turtles cartoon, right? And my favorite character out of all of that was Raphael. Always has been, okay? But when he came into this movie, they, as part of the shift, right, of, I guess, a subtle shift in personality. I mean, you have Michelangelo, who was always just sort of the surfer party dude. He's there for everything, right? Give him some pizza and some tunes and he is set. Donatello, who's sort of the geek, nerdy type, who doesn't quite fit in with his, radical and bodacious brothers. But he and Mikey have this relationship throughout the movie. It's just fun, right? And Leo, who's trying to be the good kid, right? Very much your typical, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm trying to be the good kid and follow all the rules. And Dad says we have to do it this way, so we're going to do it this way, right? That type of thing. But Raph is different, right? He's a loner. He's dealing with some personal anger issues, right? And because of that, he doesn't quite fit in with the rest of his family, really. And he has this great conversation with Splinter. All right, so they have their first fight in the opening scene. We don't see it. The screen is completely black. We just hear the sound effects as they rescue April from being mugged. Okay, and I'll get back to April here in a minute. But Raph made a mistake. He lost one of his weapons, and he's beating himself up over it. And Splinter is trying to work with Raph. Look, you're different from your brothers. We all have these issues from time to time, but you're different because you internalize it. You deal with it yourself. You don't lean on the support of your family. And man, I got that, right? I mean, as someone who dealt with anger issues a lot as a kid, but didn't quite fit in with the people around me, was a loner, all that stuff. The one thing my parents are from New York, but I didn't have a New York accent, surprisingly enough. So don't quite hit that. I'm also not green, that's how it goes. But it was interesting. Raph's watching Raphael in particular in his journey, but really all four of the turtles as they have to face the question of what is family, first of all. What is it like? What does it mean to be a family and a team? And what do you do when your parents is gone? Right? Because early in the movie, Splinter is captured by Shredder and the Foot Clan and all this stuff. And this is contrasted with a new character for the movie, Danny, who is the son of April's boss, and who is caught up in the Foot Clan and all of the crime and whatever they've got going on. And so here you've got the Turtles who don't who stay hidden because they'd be rejected, right? The outside world wouldn't understand Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? I mean, you think about it. If 4 mutated turtles showed up, oh no, there would be all sorts of panic in the streets, right? Sure, some people would be fine, some would be cool, others just like, no, this is sick and wrong, and they must die, right? I mean, the reality is humans don't like differences in some ways, right? So that's why I'm a little bit worried about an alien visitation, right? Doesn't matter how friendly the aliens are when they show up, somebody is going to want to form up a posse and do bad things to the aliens. So Splinter has some concerns, but yeah, he's trying to pull the turtles together as a family to be supportive of each other as they try to navigate what it's like being turtles in a human world. For Danny, the Foot Clan is trying to replace his family. Shredder gives this big speech to the group of kids that he's recruiting. Says, the outside world rejects you. This is your family. I am your father, right? And not in a Darth Vader sense of, no, I am your father, right? No, that's not the thing. What the Foot is trying to do is separate the kids from their families to convince them that the only support they have is the clan. You get the same issue with gangs in a lot of ways. It's like, no, your family isn't important. What's important is the gang. Okay? And that's kind of what we're seeing with the Foot. And so you see at various points in the movie, Danny's connection to his father, who is at wit's end. He's trying to do well for his son, but doesn't know how to handle Danny's rebellion and his crime, really, and his acting out and all of this stuff, right? And that brings us now to April. Now, April has always been fun because at various points, she's the reporter. She's always going in and getting into trouble in a lot of ways similar to Lois Lane, right? But April, especially in this movie, is not your damsel in distress, okay? She's not there to just, oh, help me, while the turtles show up, okay? She does call for help when she's attacked the first time because, hey, there are 5 of them and one of them already has her pinned to the ground and she can't fight them and she's calling for help because of that, right? But when the Foot confronts her in the subway because Shredder wants to silence her because she's drawing attention to the Foot Clan, all this stuff, her first instinct isn't to cry and panic and all that. She pulls out Raphael's sai that she had picked up, which promptly gets knocked out of her hands. And so she grabs her purse and starts trying to wail on the Foot Ninjas who have showed up to attack her, right? I know all of this sounds really, you say it like this, the Foot Ninjas attacked her. Yeah, okay. Let's remember the topic here. The movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But April is, she's she is a woman who is going to stand up for and defend herself. When her apartment is attacked and Raph was jumped early and is out of the fight and is barely conscious. It was barely alive. He's unconscious. The other three turtles are fighting the rest of the foot. They've crashed through the floor of her apartment and are now down amongst her antique store. And yeah, the turtles are fighting for their lives. And April, she isn't fighting. She's holding Raph and protecting him. Okay. Not that the foot is actually targeting Raphael. They figured he's done. They're focusing on the three turtles who are beating the crap out of all of them, right? But yeah, she's not there as a person to be rescued, right? She's not the princess who's in another castle, right? And when things get rough, she's nope. They flee the city. They go back to her old farm. So great, the car's dead. Fine, I'll walk to the service station so that I can call my boss. Right? She's nope. We're going to do this, and that's awesome. So, I love the seriousness that they treat the characters. And yes, they're the characters from the cartoons. Casey Jones is a vigilante who wears a hockey mask and uses sports equipment to beat the crap out of people. Okay. To be fair, a baseball bat's a pretty effective club. So is a hockey stick, for that matter. Cricket bat, I think this might be a little too heavy to be a weapon, but still, it does a number on Raph, so it's all good, right? But it still treats the characters with a certain amount of seriousness. And it's something I think that gets lost in the sequels. But in this movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they take, admittedly, a goofy premise, but tell a serious and thoughtful story. Okay, it's not a deep story, and there are some issues, right, with the storytelling. I mean, you get a lot of Splinter telling stories, and this gives flashbacks, right? This is how you get the origin of the turtles with the ooze, and you get Splinter who learns ninja from as just a normal rat watching his owner train. Okay, but he tells these stories like 3 times, and you get the flashback, sometimes with more detail, sometimes less. But the flashbacks seem a little. It seems like a little too much, but whatever. It's still fun, and there's some great parts of this movie, right? I mean, one of the things I love about it is the little one-liners and things. Remember, these are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they just, they're teenagers. The banter is sometimes fun, right? Michelangelo has ordered a pizza, and he's waiting for it to show up, but of course, they're in the sewers, and the pizza delivery is like, this is back when Domino's had a we'll deliver it in 30 minutes or it's free, type thing, or in this case, $3 off. But just the lines, when the delivery driver is, wait a minute, this is a 10, the tab's 13, and Michelangelo's response, wise men say forgiveness is divine. Never pay full price for late pizza, right? Just, it's one of those things, and it's delivered so well. Raph rescues April from getting mugged in the subway and brings her back to their lair, I suppose, in the sewers. And Leonardo is like, dude, are you crazy? What's up? We can't. Why did you bring her here? And Raph says, because I wanted to redecorate. A couple of throw pillows, a TV news reporter. What do you think? But what really makes that is a couple of, you can almost hear, I think Donnie or Mikey look at it and say, like they're actually thinking about this might be a good decorative addition to their house, right? Splinter walks in to to see, and sees what's going on, and Raph explaining to it, and Mikey's like, "Can we keep her?" And Splinter's like, "Bring water, washcloth, all the first aid stuff, right?" Mike's like, "Far out," and he, it's just, they're fun. Some of the deliveries, it's fun. Again, is it a great movie? No, it's not the height of cinema. You don't go into a movie like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and see that. But what you get is this great exploration of family and connection and what it means to be a team, right? And something that gets explored in later movies. I never read the comics. I mean, I've read a couple of them, but I was never really a comics person growing up. And the show doesn't really, the original 90s cartoon or 80s cartoon never really dug into it that much. But you see it later in the animated TMNT, which, again, another great movie. I'll have to do a really late movie review on that one too. But you see this dynamic of, this is, Mikey's there for the fun. Donnie's happy to be involved. You can tell he's a nerdy kid, but he loves his brothers, and they're all sort of good. But it's the relationship between Raph and Leonardo that it's like I said, Leo's the good kid. Raph is not. and they butt heads, Raph seems to take it personally sometimes that Leo is trying to be the leader. Yeah. He says it once in the movie here. It's like, so that is the plan from our great leader. Right. And Leo's pushing back. So, I never said I was your great leader. And they start fighting over this. It's like, and Raph is chafing over Leo sort of assuming a leadership role, whether he has it or has earned it or not. And as I said, we see it in later storytelling in other movies and things that, they don't always get along. Often they don't get along. But what you see through this is they don't have to agree on everything. But they are a family. And they can be united against the forces of evil, right? But they can stand together when they're facing problems. Right? And that's one of those moments, and it's okay, it's a little mystical, I suppose, but the turtles are out on the farm. Raph is woken up, and they're trying to deal with, said, where are they at? There's some great shots of turtles training and trying to figure out, and you can just see, like, what are they doing? What are they focused on? Where are their heads at, I suppose. And Leo takes them to meditate, basically. And they have sort of this spiritual experience, right? Of hearing Splinter's voice and learning the most important lesson, basically, is the true power of the ninjas is not in your body. It's not your skills. It's not your strength. It's in your mind. It's a lot of ways, it's the same way as the Jedi, right? The Jedi have great power, but it's the mental discipline. It's the thoughtfulness. It's not, hey, you're not just a muscle-bound wrecking machine. It's that level of maturity, really, that the turtles were lacking. And the idea that because they're hitting this point, they're leveling up in some ways, right? They can go on without Splinter, right? Splinter is teaching the turtles to be independent. Okay, they're gonna be independent together, right? No, but he's teaching them to be independent, to be able to survive and thrive on their own. Shredder is teaching the kids that he's recruited into the Foot Clan to be dependent on him. Right? The outside world rejects you. This is the only place where you're accepted. This is your family. Ignore everybody else. All of those other connections, all of those other support networks, they're gone. This is your family. I am your father. I am the one that you need to pay attention to. And that contrast is really good. It's a really great message if you want to look for it, right? The idea that what the Foot is teaching is not strength and independence and self-reliance. It's nobody likes you. You're horrible. So come work for me, right? It's a divisive mentality. And unfortunately, we see a lot of that today of ignore your parents, ignore their teachings, ignore all of this stuff. Your only support is us. Whatever, and us varies, whether it's gangs on the streets, whether it's political parties, whether it's other community groups, it doesn't matter. So many of them want to tear kids away from the love and support of their families to bring them into and make them dependent upon some other group. And what we see here is that one, that's a horrible thing. And we see here is the Turtles as they come together and learn not just that, hey, the ninja's true power is his mind, but also we're a family and we're together and we will face our problems together because we're a family. Not that because they always agree, right? It's not like Raph and Leo's problems aren't solved by one night around a campfire. But they can be together. And because of their togetherness, they're stronger together, right? And I don't mean this necessarily in some big, political commentary, as much as sometimes you can't deal with things alone. Sometimes you need help, and the best people to support you are your family, right? And you see that with the Foot. The first time you start seeing problems, oh yeah, they're scattering to the four winds, right? So you watch this, and yeah, there's goofiness, right? The Turtles are goofy. The whole idea of the Foot Clan is actually kind of goofy. But the story it tells, once you you get through some of the childishness, I suppose, you see a really important story here. And I love it. Okay. And it's one of those movies I don't watch often because there are lots of other movies out there. And as much as I like it, it's not a fabulous movie. Okay? I'm not going to tell you it is. But it's fun. And and there are things. Remember, this is made in 1990, right? And the technology that was used to bring the Turtles to live action was groundbreaking for 1990, right? The turtle costumes look pretty good. There are a few places like, yeah, okay, the costumes are foam and fabric, right? And there's a couple of times where, yes, turtle, hard shell. And like there's once Raph is unconscious on the ground, and they rush over to check on him, and you can see as they go to check, and yep, they sort of lean on his shell a little bit, or they push on his shell a little bit, and it squishes. Right, you can see the metaphorical zipper there a couple of times, right? No big deal. The costumes still look pretty good. Now, the mouths, actually the whole face of the turtles, now it's a little, I don't know what it's off, right? The animatronics, the puppetry to make those masks work, said was groundbreaking in 1990. And with that caveat, it looks pretty good. The eyes are pretty expressive. The faces can be very expressive. The mouth movements don't always work with the words. Okay? But man, for 1990, this was pretty decent tech. And I think these turtles look a lot better than what showed up in Michael Bay's movies, but it's still fun. And I know it feels like I keep I'm repeating myself, but because I am repeating myself. It's worth watching. Okay, if you've never seen the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's some cheese. There's some. It's not. You're not going into this watching Oscar bait. This, but it's fun, and it's a story that really did take the sort of silliness of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and give it a little bit of serious storytelling. And I don't mean like grim, dark, serious, but I mean, we're going to treat this story seriously. Yes, we have fantastic characters in a literal sense. These characters are straight out of fantasy. That's fine. But we're going to tell an important story about family and connection. So check it out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. Probably is somewhere, but if not, you may be able to rent it or find it in a dollar bin or something. But check it out. It's a fun one. And until next time, be excellent to each other. And this is Music Free Static signing off.